thanks for your time again, as I said, and obviously an exciting time. You got a new album coming out, but before we jump into the new album, I do have to ask because I'm sure you've been asked by many media people
Of
about the
course.
fact that was a big change last year with the lineup and stuff. So now that almost a year has passed, how has it all been going so far?
Yeah, great, great. I have to say, after that split, there were moments I thought, okay, that's it, end of the road. But no, I've been supported by colleagues like fellow musicians, friends, family, and previous band members also returned to the fold. And yeah, it has been a very an amazing and healing journey, so to say. And I'm really I feel spoiled. I'm very grateful.
I know that many years ago when you started this band, that it was initially a solo project. Was there any thoughts of going back to that at all?
Yeah, after the split, after we tried to figure things out, and it was clear that that didn't work out, and they left. It wasn't announced yet, but then I had to think, okay, what's next? Is this indeed the end of the road, or if not, how can I continue? And for me, the most important thing was, is there enough delayed DNA present to
Mm.
justify a restart? And indeed, Delain originally started as a project, and yeah, it developed into a band, and that was great. But at first, with the restart, I didn't know yet that the previous band members wanted to return, and so I announced it. Okay, we can then continue as a project with guests, because I'm blessed with knowing a lot of people in the scene, and they were willing to help me out. But then those guys returned, and so then I announced, okay, let's make it a band, because then it is possible.
Hmm. Yeah, obviously it's been an interesting time for Delain, and obviously with the new album coming out in February, I guess there's a bit of a restart, a sort of new beginning for the band. And so, how do you sort of look
Yep.
at the future now for Delain?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, no, the vibe in this group is quite something. It's really special. I played in also within Temptation, of course, the previous lineup, and with both, I had an amazing time. But there's something about this group that is really the vibe is never I never experienced something like that before, and we are really looking forward to take this new album on the road, and so the future looks bright. Yeah.
Obviously, you've had a couple of singles come out in the lead up to the release. What's the feedback been like so far?
Beyond and above, because I have never been so nervous in my career as now. Because if you return with a changed lineup, a new singer, especially the last the latter, like a new singer, that's always a very tricky thing in the band. And Delane is a very fanatical and loyal, dedicated fan base. And so if they accept this, then that is fantastic. But if they don't, then you really have a problem. And the responses to that were beyond what I hoped for, because yeah, the vast majority of the people really had an open mind, and yeah, it was really important to keep the sound there, that people say, hey, but this is Delane. And yeah, they approved, so I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, obviously, like you mentioned, having a new singer is obviously a huge adjustment for any band because it is the voice of the band. Obviously, you mentioned how you're sort of a little bit nervous about, this whole new lineup and stuff. Was that really the biggest thing that you're worried about with the new lineup, was the singer, or?
um Uh, well, just the transition in general, that not about the work, because I do what I always did. So to me,
Hmm.
that's business as usual, and even more because some people returned I already worked with before, and the whole production team. But it's more the general reception of it, how people receive it. That's what I was nervous about, and when that was okay, then I knew, okay, now we can move forward. And so that was what I was nervous about, the general reception. And with the singer, Diana, I had all confidence because she has, is my opinion, she has a fantastic voice. I was really knocked off my chair when I heard her sing on our music for the first time.
Mm.
So I was anxious to bring that to the world, actually. Yeah.
Where did you know her before, or where did you discover
No,
her?
no, I discovered her. Actually, I really asked around when it was clear that we would continue as a band. Of course, you have to search for a singer. Minor detail. And so I asked friends around me who are in music, but I also looked on YouTube channels, so where people do covers, and I stumbled upon Diana's YouTube channel. She had one as well. She did covers of Nightwish, with Temptation, and yeah, a lot of other things as well. And I was really impressed. I wrote down her name, and I thought I should contact her one time. But I wasn't really being concrete about it yet. But within a week of me writing down the name, I saw a comment from her on one of our Instagram posts. And I thought, wow, this is such a coincidence, because she wrote, if you ever need a singer, you can always contact me, with a wink face.
Mm.
I thought, that's really quite a coincidence. So I contacted her, sent her some stuff, all Delain stuff, like with really difficult vocal lines. So I felt a little bit mean because they had the vocal range that went everywhere. They were from our songs Masters of Destiny and Burning Bridges of our previous album. And I got it back within a day, and I thought, wow, that's really fast. And yeah, that knocked me off my chair when I got that back, and I knew, like, okay, I have to invite her over, let her meet with the others, and yeah, that's what we did, and here we are.
There you go. So glad that it's working out great, and obviously she has a fantastic voice, like you mentioned. So comparing this album to the previous albums, and obviously with the new lineup and stuff, did you? Is there? How would you compare this album to the other ones? Like, what was the biggest changes outside of the actual lineup, of course?
Um, yeah, the vocals, I think. The vocals is the biggest change. And in terms of style, to be very honest, I don't think there is a big change in that, because I write with the same team. Of course, Charlotte, our previous singer, is gone, and she, at the end of Delane's evolution, she also started to write music. But mainly what she did really well were writing lyrics for Delane. She was a brilliant lyricist,
Hmm.
and replacing that was quite a challenge. And I am really lucky that my wife is American, so she's a native English speaker, and she loves language and she loves poetry, and she wrote already lyrics. But I never ever thought of her before, so to
Yeah.
ask her to write lyrics, and this time I did, and that worked out really well. But she has a different style, so that's the difference. She's very much into metal, but she likes more fantasy kind of lyrics.
Hmm.
That does fit this genre, I think. So that's great, but it's different. But the sound for the rest is the same, I think. And of course, this album, the songs are a bit more poppy than the previous one, but that's just the mood. The next one can be heavier again. And I always compare it with if you have dough for bread and you put it in the oven. Yeah, you don't know how it comes out exactly. It will be bread, but
Yeah.
so I always go a bit with the flow with that.
So when you actually sit and record and come up with ideas for new music, is there any preconceived notions or ideas that you want to make the album sound or be like, or?
Every album, I say my co-writer Gus, tell him again, like, let's make this the heaviest one so far with
Hmm.
more metal. Uh, but I say that every single album, and some albums are heavier than others. So that's the only thing I do up front. But for the rest, to sound like a hippie, I go with the river of creativity and where it leads me. Yeah.
And where does that creativity come from? What inspires you?
Can be anything. Can be watching a movie with a great movie score that brings me in the mood. Can be walking in nature. In general, I need peace and tranquility. So I'm not the guy. Some writers say, yeah, I got a lot of misery, so that meant a lot of inspiration to write about. That's not me. I need peace, and then in my brain, the sky's the limit. I'll start playing, and stuff comes out. Yeah.
So take us back then to the beginning of everything, as far as your musical journey. Like, where did it all start? Like, at what point did you realize you wanted to actually make music for a living?
That's a good question. Actually, I never aimed for that. So I played in Within Temptation, then I left because I got mono disease. So that's where you get tired, and it can take 3 months to a year.
Mhm.
And Within Temptation had this breakthrough with their record Mother Earth, and so for me that was not possible. And in the end, the mono complaint stayed for a decade. But I did want to challenge myself in writing an album on my own, set aside from Within Temptation. So that was my goal. Let's write one album, and now it's my job. So yeah, it just went like that. But yeah, to be honest, it was never my goal or my aim. No.
So you've been kind of surprised by all the success that you've had so far then?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was. I didn't expect this. Didn't aim for this. It just happened. And I'm not an impulsive guy, but I am a guy that wants to go with the flow and just where it leads you. And yeah, I firmly believe in that. Think things through. That's important,
Mm.
but also live in the moment in a way. So as long as it's healthy, it always, in life there's always the art of balance. But yeah, I do believe in that.
So obviously, now in the future with the new album coming out, I assume you're going to be just hitting the road and playing a lot of shows. What's the plan for the 2023?
Yeah, good one. We start with a European tour in April, and then we do summer festivals in Europe, like Wacken and Graspop. They're big festivals.
Mm.
And then in September, it's not announced yet, but I don't care. I'm telling you anyway. We're doing an American, North American tour. So it's still, one thing is still on my list that I would love to do, and that is to come to down under to Australia. But that's always a big challenge because the travel costs are humongous. And I think it would be possible if we combine it with Japan. It's not that Japan is around the corner for you guys, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it's more like, you're there on that uh, uh, side of the globe and then going down, and
Yeah.
going south. So I really hope that can happen in the next couple of years. And we also get a lot of questions about that. I really noticed lately again as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously we would love to have you down here. We love the sort of melodic metal that you guys do. So, I mean, obviously, just a heads up to any promoter out there. I'd love to bring you down there. So, there you
Awesome.
go.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the new album, and have a good time on the road. And look, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, and also the other way around. Thanks for your time as well. And yeah, hope to come down under soon. That would be awesome.